Hello everyone. This video is for explaining about how to use Google Gemini API to create a simple AI application. Okay, I'm going to keep it very simple so that anyone can easily understand it. Just to highlight how to use the API. That is the key behind this video. Okay, for using API for creating AI applications, first of all, we should have API key. Okay, so the basic is like you might be knowing about gemini.google.com, right? It is the web interface for using the models, Gemini models available with Google. Like here you can see the Gemini models, right? So that are LLMs, large language models. We are using that models using this Gemini interface. Okay. Similarly, we also can use those models, these 2.flash, that 2.0 flash thinking, that kind of models. Okay, we can also use that models using that API key. Okay, so that we can also create a application, something similar to this Gemini.google.com. Okay. Oh, so that is the thing, but we can use it based on our own requirements. Even we can do something better than this one also. Okay, but with the API key, we can do those things. That is what I wanted to highlight here. So for that, first of all, we should get that API key, right? So Google is providing that API key for freely, but with a lot of limitations, token limitations, rating limitations, other things are there. Okay. But anyway, for a learner, you can easily start using it freely. Okay, so for that, just visit this aistudio.google.com website. Okay, here we can do a lot of things, but right now I'm just going to highlight about how to create a simple thing. So just click this get API key. Okay, and here you can create API key. I have already created a API key, so I will be just copying it and I will be using it. Okay, suppose if you are first time coming here, means you have to just click this create API key. Okay, that's it. And here we can do a lot of things, and we can just explore various models. Here a lot of models are there, so initially you can choose various things, and based on your requirements, here you can see the model details. The model is best for what kind of thinking, like say for example, if you are planning to use it for coding, you can use this model like that. Okay, so just explore it, but if you are going with some better model, means you will be having limitations, like token price may be high. Okay, just to explore that thing. So for that is the purpose of this Google AI Studio. Okay, but once you decide the models, everything, you can just you can do all the settings here, and even you can take the sample code from here. Okay, so you can use it. That is basic. Okay, so we can get API key, and then we can get the code, and we can use it. Okay, let me first start with a very simple example. I already created that one. So this is that example. It is a very simple one. Just we are using the API key, and then asking question to that model and displaying that response. That's it. But for that also we have to follow something. The first one is we have to import this Google.generative AI, right? For that importing that library, first of all we have to install that package, right? So we have to use pip install for installing that one. We have to pip install Google -generative AI. Okay, I already installed it. Okay, so it will be listing that one. Otherwise it will be installing it. Okay, it needs a lot of dependency, so it may take some time if you are doing it first time. Okay, and similarly you have to export the API key to your environment. I already did that. Okay, then only we will be able to use that. And don't show your API key to anyone. Okay, because if they are using, then it will affect your usage. Okay, token limitations will be there. So now I exported that API key. Okay, okay, so we installed the package, and we exported the API key. Now we can use it, right? It's a very simple one. And similarly here, that model, suppose if that model is not supported by your API access, it is better to list all the models, okay, and then you can you can use that command for listing that models, and then you can pick that model name from that. By doing that only I picked this model name, okay. So now we are just sending this question, tell the capital of India, to the Gemini model, this model Gemini 1.5 Flash, using this API key, okay. We got the answer, okay. So if we ask tell about India, okay, it's a very simple thing. Just I wanted to explain about how to use that API, okay. But we can do a lot of things, like, so it gave that answer, right? Okay, here we can, as I said, we can do a lot of settings that we can explore from here, Google AI Studio. Once you changing the temperature and other things, okay. And once you finalize those things, you can copy the code and you can do the more configuration of that model things, okay. But anyway, this is a very simple thing, okay. And it is like importing that GenAI, and then setting the API key and configuring GenAI, and then model, defining that model using generative model, and then using this generate content, we are getting the response from that model, okay. So that much simple. With just a few lines of code, we'll be able to interact with that model, right? That's much simple, okay. But according to our own requirements, we can improve it, okay. We can use Google Gemini or ChatGPT or Cloud for creating coding, or you can refer that documents, okay. But it is better to go with the document, because if you rely on LLMs, they will be giving coding based on the old things, okay. Again, this one also old one. Right now they changed it again, okay. So if you see the sample code from this documentation, that will be something different, okay. Maybe in the future we have to follow that one, okay. Here that sample code, they are using this format from Google import GenAI, okay. So they are using GenAI.client, okay. So normally it will be keeping on keep on changing. We need to update ourselves, okay. But if you are randomly using some kind of LLMs to create the code, then it's a bit difficult. So you need to understand, or you have to plan how to use it, okay. So that is the key thing, okay. Okay, so right now we just used the Gemini API for getting answers for our question, okay. So the next example is, it is from command line, right? So the next example, I created a simple example for using Steamlit. Steamlit is a powerful Python library for creating a simple UI for Python, like AI Python applications, okay. So here also we have to first load the API key, right? But here the approach is different. We have to use this Steamlit folder and secrets.toml file. There we have to specify that, okay. And we need to configure using that API key, okay. Then creating model. So same approach. And we're using Steamlit, Steamlit title, we are giving the title, okay. And then it's a simple chatbot. So for that we are using this Steamlit chat message, okay. And this is a default message, okay, for getting input. We have to maintain the session state for showing the old discussions also, okay. And for that we are using this. So we have to specify the role, whether it is user or system or assistant, like that, right? So we have to follow the same format here also. So basically in the session state, we are just appending the messages from both the assistant as well as from the user, okay. So that we can see that in a chart format, like user question and assistant answer, then user question, then assistant answer. So for that we are doing like this, okay. So it's an overview about this simple thing. So it will be simply creating a simple chatbot, okay, using Gemini API. And let me just run it. So it's running the Gimli tab. Let us wait for opening the browser. It will open in another browser. st.title is showing here. st.chart input. So here we can ask questions, right? So here it's showing, right? So user question is getting displayed here, and it's waiting for assistant answer. It's giving that answer, right? Here I set as team as false, so it's waiting for getting all the reply. If it is true, then it will be updating character by character. Let me rerun it. Okay, I will ask tell about India. Since now we set the team as true, it is giving the reply dynamically, right? I will set it back to false. Okay, I'm running it again. Okay, what is capital of India? So I'm asking what is capital of India. Okay, so it's just in the chart format, right? Because we are the st dot session state dot messages, we are appending the user questions as well as assistant answers, right? So it's getting displayed. So actually it is every time it's displaying. Okay, we are appending that into the session state, and it is reading that content every time, and it is updating, okay, in the display. Okay, so if we ask another question like what is the capital of USA, okay, it's giving answer. Okay, so it's in the chart format. But if we ask the question like tell more about it, so here it is not keeping the context. Okay, actually it is storing the context, but only for the purpose of showing the display in the screen. But whenever we ask question, it is freshly taking that question and just sending that question into the Gemini model, right? So it's not able to understand the context. So it needs context. It needs context. So we got to provide the context. So in that case, we got to update the code. I will update the code to keep the context. Keep the context, and then sending the previous questions along with the new question when sending the text into the model, Gemini model through API. Okay. Now I updated the code with this context full prompt. Okay. So just joining all the messages and then including it in the prompt. Tell more about it. Okay, now it's giving details about New Delhi, right? So now we have somewhat complete chatbot, right? So it's able to display the previous content, and it is able to include the context also whenever giving answers. Okay, so that's much easy. Just within a few minutes, we will be able to create a complete chatbot, right? In case if you are planning to improve it further, we can do it, right? For example, we can provide options to use different models. Okay. Similarly, we can improve a lot by improving the prompts. Okay, the system prompts, we can add more details about our application. Okay, now we just created API key for using Google Gemini models, and then we just created the chatbot, right? Thanks.